Hello and welcome to another episode of the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast. We're your hosts, Tim and Matt. Matt, it's good to see you again, mate. How are you?
G'day, mate. How are you? Another week. We're back. We are ready to chat some goodness for all of you guys listening out there. And far out, it's been such a hectic time lately, hasn't it, mate? I've been under the pump a little bit lately with some baby movements, etc.
There's a couple of things. Yeah, there's a few things happening in your life. I think, and it kind of really puts a very narrow focus on that one thing in particular. Do you want to let everyone know what's going on? I think most already do, but
I feel like we've mentioned it. We've been mentioning it over the last few weeks, and we all know. Hopefully, if you've been listening to past episodes, my wife is very pregnant at the moment. Which is good. It's exciting times, and we had a bit of a scare over well, not a scare. Scare's probably the wrong word, but a bit of a wake up call maybe over the weekend of maybe Bub's coming earlier than we thought. So that would have been a fun time if it did. But
you can't blame for these things, man. I'm telling you,
nah.
You cannot.
And I feel like everyone keeps asking us, the reason why I say bub and it sounds very bad, but we actually don't know what we're having, so it's a surprise. So that's cool. We're excited for that. And
good on you, man.
Yeah.
Good on you. You guys, I think you have a little bit more patience than myself and more so my wife. She was like, no, we need to know ASAP. So Harmony tested, what was it, I don't know, 10 weeks, I think. And then, we knew straight away, did the whole gender reveal party. So that was cool. But
you would.
Yeah. It's good. No, it's good knowing, but it's also good to wait as well. I think there's probably there's a mixed crowd there. But there's no way my wife would want to wait to find out. No way in the world. She's way too impatient for that.
I think, to be honest, the further it's been going along, the more I'm we should have found out. The amount of money. Even today, we went out and bought some coming home clothes, and we're Jess has just gone ham. Hey, it's crazy. So
well,
anyway,
how have you done the room? Have you just gone all neutral colors?
Yeah, pretty much. We're kind of basic bitches, so to speak. So we're pretty much white people when it comes to our colors on walls and stuff. And then we've just added a few neutral colors in and stuff. And it is what it is. Maybe we'll throw some color on the wall down the track. We've got some ideas of what we want to do, but at the moment, just keeping it simple, which is good. Yeah. But throwing ourselves in the deep end here a little bit, and all the world of parenting and all that goodness. And we probably had some other plans, I think, for this week's podcast, but then the weekend threw a spanner in the works. So, but we're here, we're back, we're recording, and maybe by the time this episode's live, I'll be a dad.
Maybe we got a quick turnaround, but it's probably I don't know because she's due in 2 weeks, naturally.
No, a month. So
a month.
Almost 4 weeks, but it sounds like a bub might be here in 2.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, that's cool.
Well,
what's been
another fan of the podcast, hey?
That's it. Yeah, someone's got to listen to us. What's happening on your end at the moment?
Man,
what's happening on your end? Tell me things. We're talking over each other.
It's been pretty busy. It's been pretty busy as always. Trying to work on obviously a lot of fulfillment, a lot of editing, but also a lot of behind the scenes, just in terms of working on client value. I'm trying to add in some automation tasks as well. I've got a VA, which I've mentioned before. So really creating some standard processes for her to really kind of get up to speed on quite a few things. And it's really helping out and saving me so much more time, on the back end with things like blogs and creating graphics and things like that. So it's pretty surreal, the fact that I can produce a lot more content and put out a lot more content and a lot more value as well, and that's really exciting to see.
It is, isn't it? There's I feel like that's something that a lot of us vendors miss. I'm a stickler for it at the moment. I'm not putting out as much content as I probably should. I'm just doing the basics, which the basics for me is pretty much posting on Instagram. I reckon last year, as everyone knows, I shot a heck of a lot of weddings, and I reckon I probably blogged 10 of them if I'm lucky, maybe 5, which is crazy. But obviously last year was a monster year. But
when you get to that stage, the type of volume of weddings that we do, we do hit a capacity, and it's all those other things go out the window, and the focus is on fulfillment, doing good work, creating good photos, creating good videos.
That's it.
I
It's
feel
all
from
about
like
the client experience for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all about them.
I feel from a social media perspective, like you photographers just have it so much easier, like so much easier.
I feel like I feel like I'm probably like I'm pretty lazy with socials. I really struggle with the old captions and stuff. So usually I feel like this is a bit of a hint for everybody. But if you know that I'm struggling with the caption for the day or I just don't have time, I usually just write the couple's name with a couple of stars next to it and pop it out.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
That's it.
Right.
Just let the photos do the talking. Anyway, that's enough about my.
All right. Well, what are we talking about today? Today is a pretty interesting one, and it's one that we really wanted to go through, especially because we are in the middle of engagement season, and I've had a couple of calls this week and the last couple of weeks from couples that are just like, they're not sure on things to do. Like, the wedding planning process is quite overwhelming. Like, yes, it's exciting, but it is a very overwhelming experience. And they have ideas that they want to do these things, but how does it work with this thing? And then bringing a whole team of vendors together. So tell the people, what are we talking about? Don't let them wait any longer.
We're talking about wedding traditions you don't really need to follow. And like, I feel like this is such a big topic, and there's a lot out there. We kind of were brainstorming about it. We've picked a few that we're going to like throw out into the world for you guys just to think about, because I don't know about you, but like the first one that comes to mind of like a classic tradition that realistically makes no sense in terms of why we do it is cake cutting. Like, is that something we really need to do? Is that a tradition we need to follow, or that you must do? I don't know. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts?
Let's go back, right? Like what is like a wedding tradition, right? Like typically, like these are quite old traditions that have like come through for essentially like the Middle Ages. Like, different cultures have different traditions, and it's obviously come through for generations. And I think we're kind of really like entering like a time and a generation where like your wedding day should be a reflection of your own story, your own experience. Like, make your own traditions. Like this, look, we're going to discuss a few today, but there are so many traditions that are like, we just do it because it's tradition. Like we've kind of always done that, and no one's really ever questioned it. Like, I know we did like quite a few traditional things for our wedding. We didn't question it. We just did it because that's like what you do. But like, our wedding was 7 years ago, like coming up 8 years, like this year. Like, it's it's pretty crazy, right?
100%. I was while you were talking, then I was googling a few things because I just thought the thought came into my head.
You could have got away with that. Like, no one's gonna see.
No, because I want to. I'm referencing Google here, so
Okay.
so Google, give us a shout out, please. That'd be great. But I was just like, why do traditions need to happen like at a wedding? And it's interesting because it says traditions provide us with a sense of comfort and coziness. That's the first thing that came up, which is classic. Bringing families and friends together, during this wedding period. So I feel like, it probably makes sense when I talk back about that cake cutting. It's just encouraging people to come together in that period of time, right? I guess. But then whilst I also Googled that, I also Googled one more thing, and I read why do you cut a cake at a wedding? And it was like, traditionally, it was only the bride who cut the wedding cake to symbolize her breaking through to womanhood.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard of that before. And then it's like, today cutting the cake represents the first activity that the couple do together, which is why the groom gets to do the honors as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I reckon if you go for like individual traditions, you would find some like super interesting moments and reasons why we do that. Like,
yeah.
Traditions, they're cultural, like they are religious, like they have a religious like heritage, but serve a couple of processes, right? Like a couple of purposes. Like, the main thing is to celebrate and symbolize a union of two individuals that's beginning a new life together. That's why they're getting married, and
That's
in
why
some
we're
cultures,
having a good old party.
Yep, like it's about giving away a bride, like to bring families together. I'm gonna do the same, and I've put down into Google like, why do we have wedding traditions, and what's some answers here? To pass down cultural and religious values from generation to generation. to bring families and communities together and involve them in the celebration of the wedding. Yeah, cool. So
I feel
traditions
like
often
actually
have...
now I think about that too. Just going back to what you were just saying about like cultural stuff as well. Like we always get excited. I know you do too. Whenever we get to do a wedding that's not typically something we do every day of the week here in Australia, right? So if there's like something little, even if it's something as simple as like a hand tying fasting ceremony, which is like a bit Scottish or Irish,
or a tea ceremony,
or a tea
ceremony.
ceremony.
I know I'm going to be fed really well afterwards.
Yeah, or even like for me that I recently did like that. Like I did a Hindu ceremony and then I did a Sri Lankan ceremony, and they're both very different. I was very excited for both of them. Wow, so many things to talk about in that part of the world of how different a Hindu ceremony is to a normal one. But it's just interesting how we, as like people who shoot weddings and go to weddings a lot, how we are like kind of like, oh, why do we need to follow these traditions? But when there's a traditional aspect to the wedding that is like cultural and not what we would normally do, we get really excited by it. Just random thought process.
I think because it has, like I think if it has meaning to you, like, and it's aligned with your values, then we get excited over that, like because we want you to have a personalized wedding that's like so like personal to you, like not just doing things for the sake of doing things. And I think with some of those cultures, like it's so ingrained like within their culture, and they enjoy that so much, and that's what they want, and that's what makes it exciting. Like for us, like going back to an example of a cake cut, like we just cut the cake because we cut the cake. Like I'm that dose intolerant. I didn't eat the cake. So I'm like, what do we do that for?
I want cake.
Yeah, you eat lots of cake.
I'm a cake man.
Mate, I see you at almost every wedding, like just cruising by that cake table and like,
yeah, multiple
just
times.
Take a couple.
I think my record's about like 6 pieces of cake that I've just like snuck off the table. But anyway.
Dad bod coming right at you.
Yeah, I'm in training, all right? Leave me alone. But yeah, look, I definitely think that like there's definitely traditions that I think are good to do. And, we have these conversations all the time. And I think from day one of this podcast, we've always encouraged people to make sure that they're doing things the way that they want to do it. And if you're doing things the way you actually want to do it, you're going to be excited by what is happening. So if, because we use cake a lot, if you are not excited by cutting a cake, don't cut the bloody cake, right? Like, don't have a cake, whatever that is, like, that's okay. I know all those cake makers out there listening, they're probably going to be upset and being like, what are you guys doing? But realistically, like, at the end of the day, it's about you and your partner. And if you guys are not excited by what is happening, change that.
Like I've been to a couple of weddings where, they want to cut the cake, but the cake's not that important, right? So, those big like Audi cakes. So I've seen like a couple of them like stacked up on top of each other, which is pretty cool.
Or the classic
like $30
Krispy Kreme
cakes.
donut.
Like, oh yeah, there we go. Love that. Speaking my language. So yeah, if you're a massive donut fan, which I think a few of us are, but yeah, like let's just have a look. Like your wedding day should be a perfect reflection of you and your partner. Like it should be about, your personality. Like it should be a reflection of your love story. And that's what we want for you. So like, here's just a couple little things that we think, like may get you to think about, do I really want to include this tradition on my wedding? And if you do, cool. But if you don't, and we've kind of like just help you think about, a moment or something where, like these guys are actually onto something. Maybe we'll look at doing something else. Like we're not saying don't do it, but perhaps you could replace that activity with something that's more aligned to what you want.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about like, let's just go from the start of the day. Let's just start thinking about like, kind of work our way through the day as we would see it typically. And then think about some stuff that we would normally see that we would say is traditional. So like, for example, because it's easy, the first part of the day, the getting ready moments, like traditionally, you're not allowed to stay
ready apart.
Yeah, we're getting ready apart from each other. You're not staying with each other the night before, maybe even, and then you're only seeing each other once you get to the aisle. So the getting ready apart, do you like, I don't know if it's a do you, but, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, do you reckon it's a big thing? A big thing about like not seeing each other the night before and then not getting ready together.
Yeah, like it's when I like with every couple that books me, like we'll have like a meeting to kind of like go through like really early on, like to just go through a little bit about their day, who they are, And there's a few reasons for this, but mainly I just want to get to know them. Like I just want to see the type of people they are and just get an idea of, like what does your wedding look like? Like what do you want your wedding what do you want your perfect wedding to look like? And if there was no constraints to time or activities or anything, like what would you do? And it's kind of these things that really give me an insight into, do they feel like they want to get ready apart, or do they just don't really care and they find more value in actually like waking up together, like on their wedding day and getting ready together. So I love it if it's aligned with them.
100%. And I'm the same. I feel like it's not often that I would shoot a couple getting ready together. I've done it a little bit in the past, especially probably like in the last maybe 3 months, just because of like some elopements and stuff we've been doing.
Common. Yeah, for sure. And we had one, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, and even so, like even thinking about that, like, and you can still do a traditional aspect to that, but it just may be a little bit different. So the traditional aspect maybe is if you're getting ready together, awesome, do that. And then hide your dress maybe still if you're the bride, and then let your groom get ready. Maybe you can help him get ready. That's kind of cool. I do like that. I've done that a few times recently where the bride is helping the groom get ready. He gets fully ready, gets put back in his Harry Potter closet, wherever he's hiding, something like that. She gets ready, and then we may do something like a first look, which is very, like I feel like lately the first look's becoming more of a thing, and a lot more like less, or maybe it's becoming traditional, I don't know. But I feel like that traditional aspect of seeing your bride as she walks down the aisle or he walks down the aisle is very different.
Yeah. Think about it, right? You're getting ready at the same place. Like, you save a bit of hassle in having 2 different places, booking 2 different places, having 2 different schedules. Like, simplifies the process, like, much, much easier. And if that's, like, what you want to do, like, sweet. Like, I'm down for it. And it is a very special moment. We still try and, we really try and create that, like, intimacy, like, of the morning. And even though, like, the groom may see the bride like getting ready with hair and makeup, we want them to kind of get ready separately, and like typically we will partner getting ready together with something like a first look when they're in their clothes together.
I'm a big fan. I love a first look. It always gives you some good moments, and I don't know, do it if you feel the need to.
Well, that's another one, right? Like another tradition, the groom cannot see the bride before the ceremony. So, like, not just apart during the day, but also, like, the
at all before the ceremony.
Before the ceremony. So this is where first look really, like, comes into play and is quite non-traditional. I remember when I first started, when, like, first looks kind of started coming, because, like, it's, like, typically, like, everything happens in the US first, right? Like, it's pretty big in the US, like, and then I started seeing it, like, a couple of times a year. Now it's, like, it's fairly common.
Yeah, I reckon I'd probably, I don't know, couldn't put a number on it, but, I definitely would do a handful of them each year. I feel like it definitely, a lot of people are doing it as well just because of, like, the anxiety and the, like, the waiting around kind of thing, and everyone's like, oh, now I've seen you, I feel so much better. It's like, not that you're worried about the person not showing up, but it's more just the fact of, like, that waiting game of, like, not seeing you throughout the day and then waiting all the way to the ceremony to then, like, I do think that first look is quite special because you get to have a moment with each other, you get to hang out with each other, it's another opportunity for photos, it's very natural.
Yeah, like, from a photo and video perspective, like, it is, like, it's quite amazing, it is quite a really special and intimate moment. But, like, some dudes, like, actually crumble, like, when they see, like, their bride, like, coming down the aisle. And, like, that's a special moment as well. I suppose it's, like, it's really just about, like, giving, like, you as a couple, like, the options out there that, like, you've got a few options here, but it's about deciding what you are more aligned with and what is more valuable, like, to you. Like, what moment do you think will be more special to you? Having a first look or coming down the aisle and seeing each other for the first time in front of everyone?
Yeah, 100%. I was thinking about it then as well, like about, the whole walking down the aisle thing. Like, obviously, traditionally speaking, we're always talking about, like, typically the fathers walking the bride down the aisle, right?
Oh, yeah. That's another one off the list. Boom.
That's probably a big one, and I feel like lately there's definitely, or like some people just aren't close with their father, and that's okay. And so they, sometimes the mother walks down the aisle. But then also in the flip side of that, if your family like are very close with each other, like the mum gets left out. I feel like my mum's currently talking about this a little bit because my sister's getting married, and my mum's like, oh, like, I just have to like sit there and wait for it all to happen. Like, not that it's all about me, but like more the fact of like she just feels left out in that moment of like that is quite special. And I think it's a beautiful moment. Don't get me wrong, but it's just interesting, isn't it, when we think about it and why is it something that happens.
100%. And take it back, right? Like this is from the olden days when like a father would actually give his daughter away, like, and in return, like, would receive, the joining of two families, but would receive, land or something like in return, like that is valuable to himself and the family. Like, so like the giving away of a daughter, it's pretty, like, it's pretty horrendous, like in the fact that it's a pretty barbaric tradition. So like I'm all for
money
it.
Making.
Mums
You're all for the barbaric tradition, or
oh, mate, I've got two daughters, and like giving, I don't know, just the terms of like giving away, like it's just strange, right? Like giving away 100%. Your daughter, like it is a joining of two families, but like you're giving your blessing. Right?
Although the amount of times that we've heard like fathers be like, "Oh, you're stuck with it now."
Yeah, no refunds.
That's if that's that bad, then sure.
I should really make. See, if I had more time, but I should really make like just like these reels of just like dad speeches, like no guarantees, no refunds, all yours.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love a good father speech. Yeah, it's always like
so. Yeah, get your mums involved. Why not mum as well? Mums have done a lot. Involve them in the wedding if you think that
you've got two arms for a reason. Let one on each arm and walk down the aisle together.
Yeah. Although, I like it. If it's a church wedding, that'll be pretty difficult because like the aisles are pretty small.
Oh man, I shot this wedding the other week at this chapel in Manly, and I felt like I was in Hogwarts, to be honest. The aisle was that big that I reckon I could like lay down 4 times because it was so wide, like head to toe.
Areas.
No, it was like I don't know. I can't remember. Don't know how to say it. But at the like International Business College area, in Manly, like the like massive historic building up on the cliff, up on the hill.
Okay,
yeah, that was sick. Yep. St Mary's is not in Manly. Well, there probably is a St Mary's in Manly, but not the one you're thinking. But yeah, it was hectic. Definitely enough room. I reckon the whole entire wedding probably could have almost walked together in a line down the aisle. Anyway, side note.
That's crazy. All right. Well, what about the next one, right? Because I love it. I know you do too. You do as well. And it's bridesmaids like wearing the same color, right? Like this is a tradition that typically been around. Like every other tradition, like every other, I suppose, like Western wedding tradition. It's been around for a while. Like the bridesmaids and the grooms like typically like wear the same color. So. What about bridesmaids wearing different colors, or variations,
or different dresses,
different colors, or different dresses? Yeah, like they're just not matching, right? Like they don't feel like clones wearing the same dress, hair, makeup.
When you think about it, it's all quite strange, isn't it? Like realistically, like it is a bit weird. When, like, I feel like we did one a few weeks ago, which was very untraditional because they had 1.2,750,000 trillion bridesmaids and groomsmen, and they like there was a lot anyway, and that was
tough. Hey,
it was hard work, but
it was so hot that day as well.
It was a fun day, but the boys did all wear something similar. Like they all wore a black suit. Sucks because it was very hot. But the girls then on the flip side just wore something blue, and the bridesmaid called them like the ladies in blue or something. The bride called them the ladies in blue as the bridesmaids. And so that was pretty cool because they all could wear whatever they wanted to wear. The only like stipulation was it had to be blue. Like, and I thought that was pretty cool. That was something we've done recently. I remember like probably one of our favorite weddings. We've had her on, Meg. She had a bridesmaids from all over Australia and the world and wherever else as well. And so she kind of was like, just come in a floral party dress and let's have a good time. And that was pretty sick.
That wedding has gone, like, that's probably one of our like most popular weddings. Like that wedding went absolutely viral, and for good reason. But like those dresses were absolutely sick. Like it flowed so well. Like, and even though they were like different dresses, they still kind of like had the same vibe to them as well. And then like put them all together and like with like the epic backdrop, with their flowers, it worked so well.
It was. I'm a fan.
But how about going back to that wedding that we had the other week, right? With all the girls kind of in blue. How about like the celebrant rocked up in a blue suit, the same color?
Good old Adams.
Oh, let's shout him out, Mr. Adam Sini. Oh, love your work, mate. Love your work.
What a guy. I didn't think he planned it. I would say typically most celebrants normally ask, like, what would you like us to wear? I don't know. Maybe he missed the boat, or maybe she just didn't say anything at all about it. Like, I don't know. But it's like
it was too funny because it was like it was such a similar shade of blue, and it's like, oh well, I can't stand on like that side, like with the girls. So it was like way over with the guys.
Oh, that's so good. It's a classic. It's, such a classic.
Love your work, mate. Love your work. All right. Okay. And another tradition is the first dance, right? Like I'm a big fan of first dance. I think it's like wonderful. Like I tend to add it into my films a lot. Like it brings out like a lot of character. But there is those couples that have like an absolute fear of being looked at or having being the center of attention and having all eyes on them, or like those that just have two left feet and cannot dance for shite.
I had my mic muted. I'm very sorry. I started talking and nothing happened.
You rookie.
Yeah, look, first, I don't know. I like a first dance, but I also understand why it's not something that every couple is interested in. I would maybe, if you're not a first dance kind of person, maybe call it the first sway. Because the first dance sounds like Dirty Dancing, picking her up, swinging around the room, and, being an absolute rock star, which, look, not all of us fellas are. So, yeah.
Well, what did you do for your first dance, right? Like for us, we like just YouTubed some dances and practiced, and on the day we like literally did it so wrong, like it looked horrible. We just like gave up halfway through and then just swayed.
Yeah, I think we didn't even practice at all. We kind of just like
winged
just got close to each other, had a little sway together.
Well, I did pick Kate up and give her, like hands under the bum, big pick up, and have a bit of a spin. Crowd went wild, so that was pretty cool. But then after that, it's just like back to swaying.
Yeah, I don't think we did any of that, or maybe we did that during a sparkler exit, the picking up part. But I don't think I did any of that prior to like that. We just did literally a little sway. We had quite a small intimate wedding in the end because of COVID restrictions. So yeah, it was good.
Well, like we've dealt with some couples that do have like an absolute fear of dancing in front of people, and like we've got some hot tips around this, and we've had some ways where we've worked around it, and it's worked so wonderfully in our favor, and for the couple as well, because it's just produced the most amazing and magnificent photos and videos, and that's when we take the couple out like for some night portraits, perhaps like set a couple of lights up like somewhere like where no one's around, it's just you two, us kind of like hanging around behind a tree still taking photos and videos, but like giving you guys the opportunity to have your first dance somewhere without like anyone looking.
I am a massive fan of it, like especially like it takes the pressure off it. So even if you like, quote unquote, I'm doing the little fingers here, stuff it up, so to speak, your first dance, if you had one planned or if you didn't, but you just did something wrong, you end up having the best time because you're having a big giggle with each other, you're laughing with each other. It's very relaxed, and it's very intimate, like most of the time, I would say like when we're shooting these moments of like people, like yes, we're watching what's happening, but we're not watching, if that makes sense. We're more concentrating on what we're doing and the angles and the stuff we're getting. So most of the time, it's just you guys doing what you do and me and Tim, or your videographer and photographer at the time, having a little sneaky peek. But that's about it, you know. So I would say if you're against having a dance in front of everybody, that's totally fine. No stress. But yeah, look, definitely think about doing one. Pick a song, let your videographer, photographer, whoever it is know, and have a little sway together in the nighttime.
Yeah, our little speakers come in handy, don't they? Man, they get an absolute workout.
especially if there's like reception. The biggest stitch up is if you want a specific song that's a vibe, and we don't have reception. That sucks. That happened the other day for us. Not ideal, but
well,
you know,
yeah,
okay.
I do ask these questions. You know, like what's the first dance song? Like, what are your favorite artists? And typically, like download a bit of a playlist for the day. You know, got some like party vibes, and then when we try and do like intimate moments, we do things like that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Get it.
Cool. And one of the more popular ones, right? Like, and it's something I'm seeing less and less of these days, and it is the garter toss and the bouquet toss. You know, like, meh.
I don't remember the last time I captured a. Oh, that's a lie. I do it sometimes, but I feel like most of the time when you're doing a garter toss, bouquet toss, I'm not there. I would normally have already left because it happens quite late at night. I just feel like it's one of those traditions that I don't know if I'd want to do a garter toss in front of my mum or my grandma or something like that. Like, I don't know, just getting all up in the grill, pulling it off with the teeth. If you're that type of person, get into it, get it done. It's a bit of fun. It's a full party vibe. But I would say typically it's probably not my personal cup of tea that I would probably like to do in front of my family members. Maybe that's why it happens really late at night. I've never thought about that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I've asked Dr. Google here. Okay. So like, where did the bouquet toss and garter toss come from, right? And like, this is pretty funny with the bouquet toss. So in the Middle Ages, it was believed that carrying herbs, spices, and flowers would ward off evil spirits. Brides would carry bunches of these items, which evolved into the bouquet as we know it today. Throwing the bouquet was said to bring good luck to the woman who caught it, and was believed that she would be the next one to marry.
Well, we still use the next one to marry kind of vibe, so that's okay.
Yeah, evil spirits. Just lift your leg up and let me.
I actually thought when you first started telling us what Google said, I thought you said when you said carrying the bouquet, I thought you said Karen. I was like, what? Karen, what? Classic Karen. Anyway.
Karen.
Yeah.
All right, and then like the garter toss here. This is pretty interesting. The garter toss is believed to have originated in the 14th century, when the groom would remove the bride's garter and toss it to the guests as a symbol of the consummation of the marriage. Over time, this evolved into a light-hearted tradition where the groom would playfully remove the garter and toss it to the male guests.
If only we knew. I wish I was an MC and I could bring this like history out. I just whip it out every time. Just so you know, guys, you actually just consummated the marriage. I feel.
I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
So don't listen, Kate.
The wedding. I know these guys are gonna be. I know these guys are gonna be listening. Yeah, no, it's pretty funny. I know these guys are probably going to be listening. So, It's Nate, right? So, a wedding I did back in December. Kate and Nate, absolute legends. So they live over in the US.
Not your Kate.
Not my Kate. Definitely not my Kate. Like with how this story's going. And like 10 minutes before the bouquet toss and the garter toss, like the groom was kind of walking around all awkwardly, and he's kind of like had his jacket like in. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? You right?
No, I know.
He's like, yeah, I'm just hiding something. I'm like, what are you hiding? And he opened his jacket, and he had literally like the biggest black dildo I have ever seen.
I feel like my beat then was really, really good. That was a lot. We should keep that.
It was. I'm not gonna say it again. But so that like during like the garter toss, right? Like bride's sitting on the chair, like he's like getting all up in a grill, and like he's got his head right under the dress, and then he pulls out like a bra,
the banana,
pulls out a bra, throws it to the ground, then pulls out this big black dildo.
Nailed that.
Right, like goes on the floor, like throws the garter, like Yeah, all good. Like happy days. And then picks up the dildo, throws it, right?
I missed
and
that
then
beep.
some lady, right? One of the girls in there,
Oh no, this is
running
bad.
out of nowhere, jumped up in the air, caught it, and then ran off. Like ran out of the venue and just ran off.
Surely this sounds like it's coming out of like a R18 plus movie that you're currently describing.
So I'm still in the process of editing their video, but
You're gonna make a reel out of it.
I'm gonna make a reel out of this because it is so funny
With a sensor on over the top
Like-
of all things.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so like yeah, viral potential for sure.
We might have to add some beeps into that one because it could be a
Yeah, definitely.
Oh wow! I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard one that crazy before. I've seen it with a bouquet toss. I think it was. Yeah, I've seen this guest. So the bride throws the bouquet over her shoulder, and this guest goes running for it so hard, and it always turns into this like rugby scrum. I feel like whenever people are really keen, probably had a few too many liquid courages, which is great. I'm all for a bit of a liquid courage, but this one was quite horrendous. This girl was running full ball for it. She leaps into the air, and as she leaps into the air, her like legs kept going, and so she in her heels, and she literally like her feet just like slid out from underneath her. She caught the bouquet and landed like in a horizontal plank on her back, like her head to her toes, and back slammed completely flat onto the ground in one hit, and then just laid there with the bouquet above her head, going woo! No, screaming with excitement, and then but also was a little bit like shocked / couldn't move, so she just laid on her back screaming. It was quite a vibe. Anyway,
That is hectic.
it was pretty next level. That's for sure. I feel like we can't end. We're gonna end up soon, but I want to add one more. We can't really end on your.
We can't end on a black dildo.
We can't really end on that. Tim just like this has gone rogue, but anyway, that's okay. I love a rogue story. We might go viral.
We're gonna have to
story.
change the rating now to explicit.
Yeah, 100% we are. Anyway, don't forget to do that. By the way, but anyway, I would say the last tradition that I want to quickly touch on, which I feel like we've chatted about before, is like an exit. And then a fake exit and like all of that goodness. Because I know like most people probably don't realize that a fake exit in the photography, videography world of capturing that is probably done 90% of the time. Yeah, fake exit's wrong. Like it should just be called.
Yeah, I really
for the gram.
dislike the name.
Fake exit. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Like,
it should just be a
we've
photo.
spoken about this before. Yeah, like we've spoken about it before. Like it's not a fake exit. Like yeah, we may do some sparklers, but it's just another moment, right? And you know, it doesn't have to be an exit. Like it can be.
It's just been labelled an exit because of what happens typically, right?
It replicates the sparkler exit. Yeah, like I get it, but like you know, we've done some gets like family members like around and just have a bit of a dance party outside. We've done like the first dances outside with the sparklers, like to kind of like imitate that. But yeah, like it's a fake exit. Yes, it is, but I don't know. There's just something about the name. It just doesn't sit right.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the name, and I would say it's not always sparkler vibes, if that makes sense. Like it could be something else. It's just typically the exit in general. Let's just talk that for a quick second. The exit in general, like I would say, yes, it's cool to do. It ends a night off. It probably gets all of your guests out of the building a little bit faster too, and stops the party from happening. If you did it at the end of the night, 100%. The tradition of that is great. I would say most of the time it's not worth paying your photographer, videographer, and people to be there till the end of the night. I feel that's a waste of money, so save yourself some dollars and do it as a earlier photo opportunity moment in brackets, because Tim doesn't like it. Fake exit, close bracket.
Yes, just don't have a fake exit, because it's not an exit, right? Like there's so many opportunities that we can do like during the night, if that's something that you want to explore, like we can do a night session, like we can like get some lights out, have a bit of a dance, like, and it looks pretty cool, right? Like the night's outside, you can have a bit of a like intimate moment, or if you don't want to like leave the dance floor, you don't have to. Like there's been plenty of times where we've asked couples, we're like, hey, like, do you want to jump outside and like just just have a bit of a moment outside. We can get some more photos and videos, just kind of like end the night off before we go. And if they're just having an absolute ball on the dance floor, like, and they don't want to be interrupted, then that's cool as well.
100%. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And that's realistically the theme of today. Yes, we've been talking all about, like traditions and like what traditions probably don't need to necessarily happen, or, what can we go without on a wedding day. We've spoken about a lot of stuff. It got a bit wild there for a minute. So sorry about that one. If it's scared you.
I just thought of one.
I'm scarred.
I've got another one. I
can't think anymore.
It's nowhere near as bad. It's nowhere near as bad. But what about
PG.
like the something old, something borrowed, something blue? That's a pretty old one, right? Like I don't actually see it too often like these days.
Yeah, I would say I was just trying to think then. That's why I went quiet. I would say sometimes sometimes something old is around a bit. The something borrowed probably comes around too. I don't know. Maybe like I wouldn't say all three of them, and I wouldn't say it's always publicized, so to speak. Sometimes when we're like taking photos of like the flat lay and things like that, it's probably something that we'd find out about. Like they might have like grandma's ring or something like that. But I wouldn't say it's something that's all the time that we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like let's have a history lesson. Tim's history lesson. So just asking Dr. Google again. The tradition of something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue is a popular wedding custom that dates back to the Victorian era. Each item symbolizes a different aspect in the bride's life and wishes her for her future. Something old represents the bride's connection to her past, her family, her roots. This can be an item of jewelry, clothing that has been passed down from family member, or an object that holds sentimental value. Okay, pretty cool. Something new. The something new symbolizes the couple's bright future and hope for a long and happy marriage. This can be a new piece of jewelry, the wedding dress, or another item related to the wedding. Something borrowed is meant to bring good luck to the couple and usually borrowed from a happily married friend or family member. And something blue symbolizes love, loyalty, and fidelity, and is often a blue ribbon or piece of jewelry. That's pretty funny because I've had a wedding. Oh, it's a couple of years ago now, but the mum like got a handkerchief and it had like blue around it, but then she wanted to have it engraved, or like upholstered, right?
Upholstered. I know what you're saying.
Like,
it's funny.
Like, is that what it's called when it like it has a writing in it? Someone write. Well,
sure.
Someone
Embossed.
wrote on it. Someone was supposed to write like from mum, but they wrote something blue. So she opened this handkerchief. It said, something blue.
Oh my goodness, that's such a
I put it in the video. I put it in the video too.
Oh my goodness, that's such a classic stitch up. Wow. Anyway, wow. Wow.
Yeah, like we did that. Like Kate, that was pretty significant for Kate's family. Like she definitely had that. But yeah, I don't know if it's something that we see too often now.
No, and I would say as well, like when we're talking all this stuff, like at the end of the day, like some of the things that you are doing are probably important for you to do because of like family reasons and things like that. So like, maybe this is just another opportunity for you to include your parents into the like mix of helping you with your planning. So, ask them, are there any things that you would want us to do? Because maybe you did it at your wedding and you found that special and you want to include that in my wedding, etc. But I also would say, once you've asked the question and you're getting a little bit closer, maybe you're halfway through your wedding planning or even closer than that, and like you're in the last couple of months prior to your wedding planning, like 3 months out, which we spoke about last week, maybe it's worth putting your blinkers on and not taking too much advice from other people and adding in these extra traditions and things that you don't really want to do. Because at the end of the day, you're planning this wedding because you're excited by what is happening, because you genuinely want all of the things you've already put into it for the last X amount of months of planning to be there on the day. Put the blinkers on, try not to listen to all these people being like, why aren't you doing a cake cutting? Or why aren't you doing a first dance? Or, whatever that is, because at the end of the day, you've planned it to not have a first dance or not to do a cake for a reason. So don't throw it in last minute just because
Yeah, 100%.
somebody important to you has told you you should do it, because there's nothing you should do on the wedding day. It's all about you having a good time, enjoying it, and making sure it's epic.
That's right. That's right. And look, like the decision to like include or to skip like these traditions is a personal one, and it's one that should be based on yourself and your partner's preference and like your values alone. Like ultimately, it's the goal of the wedding to celebrate your love, your commitment, and the focus should be on creating a memorable and meaningful experience that reflects your individuality and your values. So we hope this podcast, we hope this episode is giving you a little bit of value, so you can, like take some golden nuggets from here, and maybe give you the confidence to be like, like maybe these are some traditions that we actually don't need to do. Like maybe it's something that you can find a lot of joy in not including something like this. So hope it's a lot of value for you guys. Thank you very much for listening. I know this is probably a longer one, but we really appreciate you listening to the end and us clowning around, having a good laugh about
some weird stuff. And as always, we would love to hear from you guys, so please reach out to us on the socials. It's makeitepic.weddingpodcast on Instagram. We try and put up some highlights of each episode each week there, so come and check us out.
Also, and if you've got wedding traditions that you don't follow, or if there's some that you like definitely don't want to do, like hit us up, let us know, so we can add to the list, maybe do a part 2 of this one.
Yeah, and make sure, as always, you give us a rating if you like to, if you're liking what you're listening to and you're into it, give us a little bit of love. We always like that. Anyway,
we don't mention it enough, and we don't say it enough. But if you could please give us a review and rate us, it really, really helps us out. We promise to
gives us some confidence
value
as well. Gives us confidence in terms of because I need confidence, but gives us some confidence in a sense of
mate, you do not need confidence.
I do. My feelings get hurt. Someone gave us a bad review saying these guys are knuckleheads, and I'll probably cry.
Someone called us a couple of pelicans as well.
These pelicans are terrible. What are they talking about? The pelicans are pretty big. All right, I'm just going to stop talking. Anyway, we love, giving you guys some good information, and hopefully you are getting some goodness out of this podcast. And as always, we'll see you next week. Speak to you then.
Bye.
Bye.